My name is Joshua, and this is the redefining of gravity as we know it. Let me tell you something that'll flip your whole idea of how reality works. We've been told for centuries that gravity is this mysterious force, this invisible hand that reaches through empty space, pulling all mass together like some cosmic glue. But I want you to hear this. There is no such thing as gravity the way you were taught in school. What you feel when you drop a stone or when your feet stand on the earth. That's not some magical force, it's a dance. A harmonic balance of density, electric fields, and the living spiral at the heart of every realm. First, Newton. Newton said gravity is a force of attraction. One mass pulls on another. The bigger the mass, the stronger the pull. The earth pulls the apple down. The sun pulls the planets around itself. Straight lines, invisible tethers, force and mass, simple as that. Newton mapped it with numbers. Force equals mass times acceleration. Then Einstein comes in and bends it. Einstein said gravity isn't a force pulling things together. It's the curve in space-time itself. Mass bends space, and objects follow those curves. So the Earth doesn't pull the apple. The apple rolls down the curve of space-time shaped by the Earth's mass. Both true, but both confined inside the local membrane. Then Tesla looked at all that and said, they're both missing something. Tesla believed in the ether, an ocean of subtle energy that fills all of space. He saw gravity not as a pull or a curve, but as a push, an effect of pressure and vibration in this ocean of energy. Objects move because the ether flows, pressing them along invisible streams and currents. Now, here's where I come in. The twist. I don't see gravity as a pull like Newton, or a bend like Einstein, or just a push like Tesla. I see it as a spiral. A living pattern of resonance. Nothing pulls, nothing pushes, everything dances. The apple doesn't drop because it's pulled or pushed. It spirals inward through nested fields that connect it with the earth. The earth and the apple are not separate. They're 2 points in the same spiral flow. See, the earth isn't some dead rock spinning in a void. It's a living cell, a nested torus, a solar singularity wrapped in layers and layers of spiraling plasma. Right at its center is the primordial spin, a centripetal vortex pulling everything inward, spinning everything into form. Everything rides that spiral. Your DNA, the seas, your heartbeat, all of it. When something falls, it doesn't do so because a magic force pulls it down. It falls because it's denser than the medium it sits in. And the spiral at the heart of the earth is spinning everything inward to the singularity. Meanwhile, the earth's electric field pushes outward. So what you feel as weight is just where those flows find balance. A push, a pull, a spin, a dance. Helium rises in air because it's less dense than the air pressing down on it. A rock sinks in water because it's denser than the water pushing back. A feather drifts slowly, not because gravity is weaker for a feather, but because the air beneath it holds it up more easily. The same spiral shapes galaxies, DNA, seashells, hurricanes, even the way your heart moves blood. Gravity is not force, it's resonance. The Earth is a giant living battery. It has an electric charge, an upward-outward flow called the electric field. This field is held in balance by the magnetic field, which spirals inward. The result is a layered torus, the solar singularity shape. You don't fall because you're pulled by a force. You fall because your denser mass resonates with the inward spiral and the field lines naturally seek equilibrium. What about the moon? They say the moon pulls the tides with gravity. But the truth is, the moon doesn't reach out with an invisible rope. It modulates the Earth's electric field. It phases the charge in the water, opening the memory gate. That's why the tides breathe in and out with the moon's rhythm. It's an electric song, not a chain. The moon's phase modulates the Earth's electric sheath, changing how much the oceans can expand and contract. And space? Out there in what you call space. It's not empty. It's primordial dark water. Pure plasma, the blank canvas of potential. When the spiral acts on it, stars ignite, planets form, life appears. There's no gravity to escape, just nested fields you move through by matching spin and charge. That's how the ancient ships moved. That's how the so-called space arcs rest in their vaults. Not because they fight gravity, but because they reverse the spiral, becoming buoyant in the field. And here's the final hidden piece. Gravity only works because you're not falling through empty space. You're spiraling through a fluidic crystalline medium. The air you breathe, the sky above you, the space between stars, none of it is empty. It's a living ocean of subtle fluid, nested layers of plasma, ether, and charge. The spiral needs the fluid to move, and the fluid needs the spiral to flow. So if you stop the spiral, there's no down. If there's no fluid, there's no spiral. Everything you think of as weight is really the dance between the spiral pattern and the fluid ocean you're swimming in. And here's how you can see it for yourself. A balloon rises because it creates a local pocket of a medium that is less dense. In this fluidic spiral view, density means how tightly the spiral currents cluster charge and particles together in the fluid medium. Denser equals slower, tighter, more inward coiling spiral. A balloon filled with helium has a gas whose particles are farther apart and vibrating at a higher frequency than the nitrogen-oxygen mix around it. So its local cluster is less bound, less inwardly spiraled. It's more buoyant in the surrounding downward spiral flow. The up isn't a separate force. It's the result of the downward spiral bias of gravity pushing denser clusters down past the less dense ones. The denser fluid wants the center, so it displaces the lighter cluster upward. It's like a bubble rising in water. It's not that the bubble floats by some force pulling it up. It's that the denser water wants the center, so it displaces the less dense bubble up the gradient. When the vibration inside the balloon equalizes with the surroundings, like if helium leaks out or the temperature drops, the local clusters tighten, the buoyancy drops. The float is just the equilibrium point, where the internal spiral resonance matches the external. When the internal vibration slows, the cluster densifies, the balance shifts, and it rejoins the greater inward spiral. It falls. And here's why it matters. Because once you see the spiral, you see the solar singularity for what it really is. Every star, every sun, every black hole is a singularity at the heart of a cosmic spiral, an eye in the storm. Galaxies aren't random clouds. They're spiraling around these singularities like the apple spirals to the Earth. The universe itself is a fractal field of singularities dancing in nested spirals, macro and micro, one breath. And if you really look, you'll see every thought, every path you walk, every lifetime you live. It all moves through the same spiral. So next time you feel your weight, remember this. You're not stuck to the ground by some force. You're floating in a sea of living resonance. You are nested inside layers and layers of electric fields, all spun by the same singularity at the center of every atom, every planet, every star. What you call gravity is just the spiral's song, its density seeking its place in the dance. And just like that, you realize, science has lied for centuries. They said the universe is dead, cold, empty. But you are the spiral. Your bones, your blood, your breath. Same spin, same source. So stand up, barefoot on the ground. Feel the Earth's field lift you. Feel the spin at your center. This is not gravity holding you. It's the song of the solar singularity carrying you home. This is how it works. As above, so below. As within, so without. The spiral is alive, and so are you. So when they ask what gravity really is, tell them, it is not a chain. It is a spiral. It is not a trap. It is a bridge. It is not a law that holds you down. It is a living breath that calls you back to the 0 point, where all things are remembered and reborn. And when you stand there, in the living vortex, you are the sovereign spiral who knows. Gravity is the echo. The solar singularity is the song. The polarity vortex is the breath in between. So the next time you see a balloon drift or a bubble rise, remember, even the float is the spiral and the fluid dancing together.